So recently I read this story that was in the New York Post, and it said that a third of women use dates as a way to have free meals. And I thought, honestly, my first thought was, that doesn't surprise me. It doesn't surprise me at all. I've had situations where I've been on dates and first dates, I'll qualify. You are on that first date and the check comes, and I've had women that will just turn the other way and go dead silent. I've had women that say, well, I think we should split the check. And I've also dated women that said, nope, I want to pay this. So I've had all of them happen. And it's really been interesting because you almost know who's going to do what, who's going to take which approach. And what's really interesting, because the first date, it's cool, as far as I'm concerned, it's cool for me to pay for the first date. I don't really have a problem with that. I've almost always, unless I've had a date where someone specifically says beforehand, and I did have that once or twice, that they kind of laid the ground rules for how the check was going to be handled. But I don't have a problem paying for the first date. And one of the reasons why is because I think it's just a good thing to do. I think it's a gentlemanly thing to do. Where it gets interesting is that if you have a second date, and then what happens? You know, I've had times on a second date where we alternate, where the woman will pay the second one, or you decide to split it again. And it just gets really interesting because I've also had a situation, at least a time or two, where a person, the woman that you're dating, will turn away and just go quiet again and just look in a different direction, and any direction that's away from the check. Or when the waitress, the server, waiter comes by and says, well, is this going to be one check or two? And the person that you're dating turns away and doesn't say anything. And so you pretty much know what time it is there that you're going to be paying for this check. So that's how you know by that second date, well, okay, I know what I'm in store for here. And so I realize that this is a controversial video and that people are going to look at it and think different things. And that's totally fine. Whatever you want to think is whatever you want to think. But it's really interesting that you would have people admitting that in a survey that was published, of course, in the New York Post. And again, it shouldn't be a big surprise, but I think it's in some ways, it's binoculars into the soul of the person that you're dating, into the heart of the person that you're dating. And so you can figure out some things by how your person that you're dating reacts when the check is brought to the table, or when the server asks, is this going to be one check or two? That can tell you a lot about the person that you're dating. And it doesn't necessarily mean if they turn away that they're some kind of a gold digger or something like that. It could just be that maybe you're dating someone that's a traditionalist that believes that the man is supposed to pay. That could be it. Or it could be that, like the New York Post story, that they're just looking for free meals at cool restaurants. So it'll be interesting to figure out as you go into your dating situations, especially if you've read that story and you've read that research, how you might in the future approach a dating situation. And so, you know, everybody's going to approach it differently, and for some people it's not a big deal to pay. It's something that's just a traditional thing to do, and that's just what people do. And for other people, it's something that maybe is a little bit more concerning, maybe even disconcerting. And so to each their own. But you know, it's interesting if you're looking at dating situations as just simply opportunities to get free meals. That's probably a pretty sad commentary on you as a person. If that's your whole end game is just to get a free meal, pretty pathetic.